Hello there, I'm Bonnibert. You guys decided my next video, and that, of course, was a Pixar movie tier list video. And yeah, I decided to make it because tier list videos are fun to make, and they don't take that long. And I'm thinking about making a lot more in the future. Now, Pixar has a pretty good reputation. Their movies are basically for everyone. They have emotional moments for adults, goofy and funny moments for kids, and really likable characters and good plots. But not every Pixar movie is great. I have some really bad ones that don't even need to exist. They're just there for cash, or they had a troubled production. Some of their movies are good, but not amazing. And there's a lot of those in this video, I think. And some of them are timeless masterpieces. Ones that never get old and are almost perfect. I like tier list because I can talk about stuff I don't normally talk about on this channel. And like I said, they're fun to make. And I don't have to make a whole hour-long list video that no one watches. Let's just jump right into it. We're starting with the worst one, that being Cars 2. Yeah, we all know this one's terrible, right? Hopefully. There's so much things I could say about this movie that have already been said in multiple other people's videos. But it's just so bad. It's a terrible sequel. How do you go from this racing movie where this guy comes into this town, learns from an elder, I don't know, becomes a local? I don't really remember the first Cars movie. But how do you go from that and then go into an international super spy movie, rocket launchers, bing bang boom James Bond, unfunny Mater jokes making fun of Americans? I don't know how you could make a sequel this bad. I'm not the only one who thinks this. I had to give it its own tier. It's that bad. I'd rather sit through Shrek the Third, and I hate Shrek the Third. That's how bad this movie is. I hate it. And if you're a Cars fan, I'm just saying I don't have many kind things to say about this franchise. So buckle up. Click off the video before you get triggered. I promise the rest of these segments aren't going to be as long as the Cars 2 rant, because I want to get this video done. So let's get into the terrible movies, the ones I really don't like. Starting with The Good Dinosaur. This movie is laughably bad. The jokes aren't funny. There's a bunch of weird scenes. The emotional moments don't land, which is weird for a Pixar movie. The only good thing this movie has is its animation, because the landscapes are really pretty. Other than that, this movie isn't good. Brave, on the other hand, isn't good either. The protagonist is annoying. I always thought the bear thing was weird. Like The Good Dinosaur, the jokes don't land. And yeah, I know this movie had a troubled production. That explains why it's this bad. It's not a good movie. So, both of these movies are equally bad for me. I don't really like either of them. But if I had to put one above the other, I would say The Good Dinosaur is slightly better. There is one well-written scene that shows and doesn't tell, which is always good in storytelling. I think it's the scene with like Arlo and the dog kid. I don't know, but like they were like playing with the sticks and showing their family. Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. Brave, on the other hand, doesn't have those scenes. It's just dumb, pretty stupid. I hate that movie. I hate The Good Dinosaur too. These just two movies aren't good. Just not as bad as Cars 2. Next up, we got the bad tier. And thankfully, there's only one movie in here, and that's Turning Red. Now, I'm not the target audience for this movie because I'm not a teenage girl, but even if I were a teenage girl, I would think this movie's bad. There's just something off about it. I don't know. The animation's alright. I'm not a big fan of the character design. It's kind of ugly. Some decently funny moments, but not really. I think the big final battle is really weird, and that's where the movie lost me. Like, this whole plot about this girl turning into a red panda, I know it's like a metaphor, but still, it's really dumb. I don't have much to say about this movie. I've seen it once, and I'll never watch it again. I just don't like this movie. That's why it's in the bad tier. Yeah, there were probably other movies I could put in this tier, but this was the only one that really stood out to put in this one. Let's just move on to the next one. We're getting into the movies that I don't really have strong feelings towards. They're just alright. First up is Luca. I don't have any strong feelings towards this movie. The animation's good. Story's alright. Emotional moments are alright. I think the villain's fun. But I just think it's forgettable. And I don't have much to say about it. It's just Luca. Next up is Onward. Now, this movie isn't bad. The emotional moments hit really well. I really think the world that these characters live in is cool. The characters are relatable. But at the same time, the plot is kind of boring, and we find ourselves in the same situations multiple times. Like the little pixie things, and then they have to use a spell or something. Then the bridge, they have to use a spell. And then you have to use a spell to get out of everything. It's just very repetitive, kind of forgettable. I've only seen it a couple times, maybe like twice, but still, it's just a decent movie. I am ready to make some people mad with these next two. The original Cars is okay. Some people put it in God tier, which is insane. This franchise is conceptually not good. Just the idea of living cars is really dumb to me. The story would be the same if there were people controlling the cars. I don't hate Cars 3, but I gotta say, it is my favorite in the trilogy. The original Cars is alright. I mean, I mentioned the story earlier. It's decent. I don't really care about these movies. I don't have much to say about them. Just it's not a great franchise. I feel like there was so much more they could have done, and I think this franchise is ruined by Cars 2 because the first one's okay. They could have done a lot more with it. The sequel sucks, and Cars 3 it kind of brings it back together. I think it's a bad trilogy, and these movies are okay at best. And lastly, in this section, we have A Bug's Life. This movie is probably the most forgettable Pixar movie, but it's not bad. Yeah, there are a couple of dumb plot points in there that don't really need to be in there, but the jokes do land a lot, even though the character design is abysmal. Besides the main villain, he's pretty cool. I really think these characters are alright, and I really think they really made this bug world cool. So yeah, this movie is forgettable, but it's alright. Now we get into the good movies. These are movies that I think are good, not great, not amazing, but they're good. First up, we got Incredibles 2. I remember seeing this movie so many times when it came out. Do I think it's amazing? No. I think these little side heroes that they introduce are pretty boring, and they're not really given much to do. The character design is abysmal. And of course, the twist villain can be seen pretty early on. But I don't hate this movie. The action's fun. The score slaps so hard. And it's just a good movie. It could never beat the original, but it's still good. Next up is Monsters University, and I think this is a good movie. I think it shows the college stuff pretty well, even though I don't know what going to college is like yet. I think it's a good prequel to the first Monsters, Inc. I like how we go to Monsters, Inc. in this movie. This movie has some really funny moments, and some really good emotional ones, too. I just think this is a good movie. Next up is Soul. I don't have much to say about this one. It's a good movie. The animation's beautiful, the score's great, and there are some great life lessons you can learn from this movie. Like, be thankful for your life. All of it. I just think this is a beautiful movie. Inside Out, I think I have the least to say. It's a good movie. There's some good themes in there, like it's okay to be sad, and that life can be hard. The emotional moments hit hard, especially Bing Bong's death. That scene wrecks me. But yeah, I have the least to say about it. It's good. And next up is Toy Story 4. Now, I love the Toy Story franchise. It was my favorite when I was, in preschool. And when Toy Story 4 came out, I was a little hesitant. But I enjoyed it. I think they should have ended at Toy Story 3. But this movie wasn't a bad ending. Well, okay, there's going to be another one. But still, this movie wasn't bad. Was it needed? Absolutely not. It's a good sequel to the rest of the movies. Next up is Finding Dory, and this is a good movie. I like the new characters that it introduces. It's pretty funny, and the climax is insane. I love it. My one problem is, for a Finding Nemo sequel, Nemo is kind of shafted to the side, but it is about Dory, so there. Yeah, I think this is a good movie. I really don't have a lot to say about these movies, and I'm trying to make it quick. Finally, we have Up. The emotional moments in this movie, they hit hard. The first 15 minutes, and when Carl is looking through Ellie's scrapbook, those are sad. But I don't believe a movie should be considered a masterpiece based on, like, 17 minutes worth of its runtime. I think a whole movie has to be good to be considered a good movie. The rest of the movie's okay, but it's more of just a fun kids movie after the first 15 minutes. Like I said, the score is great and the emotional moments are really good. Let's finally go on to the next tier. Next up, we have the great tier. And as you can see, this is a very short tier. We're finally nearing the end of this tier list video. Firstly, we have Finding Nemo. Now, this is a pretty good movie. There's a lot of funny moments. The emotional moments hit. Beginning sad. And the water looks really good in this movie. Now, I'm just say here, it's just a funny movie with a lot of great scenes and a lot of good stuff going on. And they managed to make a movie about fish. Actually interesting. I love Coco. It's an amazing movie. My most recent rewatch, I realized how good of a story this really is. And how important family really is. I think it shows off Mexican culture really well. And the Land of the Dead is really cool looking. I would definitely want to be dead there if it existed. The emotional moments are really good, especially at the end. And the song slaps so hard. Un Poco Loco is really fun. Remember Me is sad, but still really good. Those are the two big ones, but the rest of the soundtrack is pretty good too. If you haven't seen Coco, go watch it. It's really good. I've enjoyed it ever since I was in 3rd grade. Yeah, give it a watch. Let's move on to our final tier. Welcome to the timeless tier. These are movies that never get old even after multiple rewatches. They're just genuinely amazing movies. Starting off this tier, we have Toy Story 3. Holy crap, this is a great movie. It's a really fun prison escape movie. The villain's great, and I genuinely wanted him to lose. I feel like his punishment wasn't bad enough. The ending to this movie is awesome. Well, not awesome, it's sad. There are so many points in this movie where I almost cried because stuff is legitimately sad and heavy. I love this movie so much. It's not the greatest Toy Story movie, but it's pretty close. Next up is WALL-E. I mean, a lot of people have already talked about this movie before, so I'm not going to keep you here too long. It's a really good movie. It's a great environmental message, a great story showing the relationship of these two robots coming together. The animation's great, and there's some genuinely beautiful scenes in this movie. My family doesn't like WALL-E because they don't talk for the first half, but that's just showing, not telling, which is great in any story. Toy Story is a classic. It's hilarious. There's so many funny things in this movie. And it was revolutionary in the world of animation for being the first fully CG animated movie. The characters are good. I like Woody's character arc. This starts off the Toy Story franchise, and it's just a really good first movie for Pixar. That sets up their reputation, even though their reputation has been ruined recently. But Toy Story is just a great first movie for the studio. Toy Story 2. No, that's even better. First of all, it's one of the best sequels of all time. Even with it having trouble development, the twist villain's cool. Well, not cool, but you don't really see it coming. And it answers a lot of questions we have from the first Toy Story movie. There's some really good character moments in this movie, and the "I am your father" scene. That's pretty funny because it's a Star Wars reference. I like Star Wars. My next video is about Star Wars. But Toy Story 2 is just an amazing movie. Next up is The Incredibles. What can I say? It's a fun superhero family movie with genuinely good action. It's a good concept that the Thundermans copied. Syndrome as a villain is crazy. He's a really good villain. Probably one of Pixar's best, if not the best. The Incredibles is just amazing, and even though the second one is a little average, the first one is amazing. I don't think any sequel could top it. And now we get to Ratatouille. This is probably my favorite Pixar movie. There's some adult themes in there. The animation's great. And the lesson that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. is really good for this movie. It shows it in an interesting way by having a rat cook, but he succeeds because he puts his mind to it and didn't let the obstacles stop him. Anton Ego is pretty cool, and this movie really makes me hungry whenever I watch it. Ratatouille is my favorite Pixar movie. Just everything about it's great. I don't have any problems with it at all. Even though Ratatouille is my favorite, I still have Monsters, Inc. left. Monsters, Inc. is a classic. It's funny, the villain's good, the plot's really cool, and the world that they live in. This is just a really creative movie with a lot of cool concepts. I love Mike Wazowski. He's funny, he's awesome. And Mike and Sully are one of the most iconic duos of all time. This movie is iconic, and it's definitely one of my favorite Pixar movies. It's up there. Well, that's it. If you made it this far, make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet, or leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. Tell me your favorite Pixar movies, or just movies in general. I don't really care. Comment your opinions, and if you respectfully disagree, comment. I know this video wasn't too highly edited, but I don't really care. I just wanted to talk about Pixar. Before you go into the comments and say, "But Bonnibert, you forgot Elemental. Bonnibert, you forgot Lightyear." No, I didn't. I just don't care enough to see those movies. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. So, with that out of the way, that's a cut.